is the first podcast brought to you by the Postdoctoral Society of Stellenbosch University. And it's been done by postdocs and for postdocs. And we really hope that you enjoy that. On our first podcast today, we have someone who is working very hard for the postdocs at Stellenbosch University, from growing their position in the university to making administrative tasks much easier. Dr. Natasha Palesa Motapo, head of the Research Support Office of Stellenbosch University. Welcome to our first podcast.
Hi, Micah. Thank you. Thank you so much.
So, Natasha, we know that you have been with Stellenbosch University for many years, and how did your academic career develop?
Yeah, yeah, I've been here for close to 20 years now, and I came in my undergrad. So I started my undergrad here in BSc in zoology, and yeah, so I was always interested in the sciences here, but I got a scholarship to come study at Stellenbosch, so I came here, and I did my undergrad, and I also, during my undergrad, I met a postdoc. I didn't know they existed, but I met a postdoc who taught us one of the modules in invertebrate physiology. His name is Brent Sinclair. He's now a professor in a university in Canada. And we just hit it off. He was great. He needed somebody to help him to look after some caterpillars that he got in Marion Island. And we gave them names like Bruce and Olivia and Vivica and all sorts of, yeah. So we and he was doing cold tolerance, thermal tolerance, like critical thermal limits in insects that live in extreme environments. So yeah, so I learned, that was my first experience of research and research in action, and I completely became obsessed with being at the lab and like doing research. I went with him everywhere, even some of his presentations he took me, and so that kind of got me really hooked into doing a research career, and also seeing him teaching, and how very engaged he was. So I really learned quite a lot from him. I stayed in the same lab and did my honors with my then supervisor, Stephen Chown. He's also somewhere, he's in Monash University in Australia now, but he's a totally awesome professor, very well renowned for his work in the Antarctic region. And I actually went to Marion Island for my honors, where I did my first research project was on the invasive slug. So I was looking at temperature tolerance on an impact of temperature on locomotion rates in the light of climate change. And it was nice because it's really like the outcomes could be explained in real life, like it's getting warmer, so these species are getting to places where they're not supposed to be, and as it gets warmer, they are able to spread and naturalize and establish in these environments simply because it's getting warmer as a result of global climate change. At the end of my honors, I took up an internship at SANBI, which is the South African National Biodiversity Institute. Then I ended up with this researcher. His name is John Anderson, and he's a paleobotanist. Then when I started, he showed me around. I remember very well, the office was in the dungeon, basically the basement area of the herbarium. So the whole area was like, his space. And he was working on the Multino Formation. It's somewhere in the central regions of the country, and he discovered really amazing information around the evolution of angiosperms. And then while we were there, the second week, another professor arrived. His name is Conrad Lavandera. He's from the Smithsonian Institute. So, and he came and he was studying plant insect interaction of the Multino. Hello, so it was like, yay, this is happening. Here's something I was looking forward to do. But he was just taking lots of photographs and looking at like the chewing patterns on the leaves that were fossilized. So there's like slabs and slabs of rock with fossils in them, plant fossils in them. So and Sunby has an environmental education center. So I told him that I'd like to go speak to them to see how we can collaborate. You know, what type of things they want to share with, because at the environmental center you get school children coming in from the local communities. They actually asked me to stay, and then I could work part-time. So when I went to start my master's, I was like 2 weeks in Stellenbosch, 2 weeks in Pretoria, every other second month. It was like quite crazy. But I had to really do some serious time management. It was quite hectic. And yeah, the work, I mean, obviously it was just, some of it was done remotely. I mean, we emailed, you know, design programs, and the environmental center would execute those programs, or John would go and do the presentations himself. If we ended up, we even made a card game. We made a card game that was fun, and we went to present it at the International Year of the Earth. That was 2008. So that was in Arusha in Tanzania. Yeah, so that was like awesome. So, but then after that, I was like, okay, I need to focus on my writing, because I was actually at the end of my master's. And then, oh yeah, in 2009, I had my daughter in 2009. So I took about 6 months, 6 or 7 months of like maternity. It was unofficial maternity leave because they didn't exist before I started my PhD. So and then so in my master's I worked on the Argentine ant, and it was quite a new system. So, and yeah, I was everywhere with that as well, because I was always talking about it. So that's where the whole ant girl came. So I became like a little superhero ant girl. And just because I enjoyed so much doing my research and just discovering so much about ants, and really how much they are so similar to people, yet so different in the way there's many things that we can learn about, you know, about living from the ants. So then I decided, oh, okay, no problem. I will carry on to my PhD. In 2008 also, I went to present. I was invited to present at an international conference. So in the symposium on invasive ants. So it was my very first like major conference. So, but I met a lot of the people that I continued to work with for forever, even now. For me, it really made my career blossom a lot. Just those engagements, really amazing learning opportunities, in fact. Yeah, so then I did my PhD. Yeah, so the PhD went really well, and I was traveling everywhere because my collaborators were everywhere, especially in Japan and the US. So I was with those people. And yeah, I spent quite more time actually in Japan, even in my postdoc. And again, I met everyone during the conferences. So we started to do like side projects, and they would do this work there, and I would do it here, bring the data, we write and get the paper out. And yeah, so it was quite a learning experience. And I think for me, it's my whole master's and PhDs were around skill building, really. Simply because of the networking and exposure that I had and the opportunities to travel. So yeah, so I finished my PhD in 2013. I also had my son the same year. So like 2 weeks before my graduation, I gave birth. Yeah, and we went to graduation together. So that was quite exciting, and I was very happy to get done with the PhD. I got a postdoc offer, and I had to come back like my son was not even 2 months, so I had to come back because I was going to forfeit. If I didn't come back, I was going to forfeit my funding. And they didn't care like that I just had a baby, and it was like I was really shocked about that. In fact, not shocked, really angry. I felt like, I felt like subhuman, like I didn't deserve, to be a dignified mom. That I actually got a lot more time with my daughter, um, after my masters, and than when I'm older, and more capable. I was not even allowed to, you are threatened with your own livelihood. I was really upset. I remember that, and in fact, I was very so upset. I was coming to the lab with my child. So when I came and I went to register, I had my pram. You know, like I spent money on this pram that you can convert into a cot, so that he could sleep in the office. Like I was like just trying to demonstrate something with my experience. Like I'm a postdoc, like what's going on? Like why am I now? Why can't I just work at home? Why can I not come when I'm ready? Why do I have to start now? I've explained my son is not 2 months. There's no daycare that will take him. It was crazy. I couldn't believe it. So and my host, she was like, there's nothing she can do. I have to come and register. So yeah, so I registered, and I was coming to the office every single day with my son. Every single day, I dropped my daughter at the daycare, which was across the road from my building. There's a daycare there, the transport services on campus. So yeah, my daughter would go there. I would push the pram all the way, and I didn't have parking close to my building, so I had to park by the Pick and Pay church and push the pram and get my daughter to school and go to the office with my 2-month-old. And it was just, yeah. And then obviously the complaints started to come, but he wasn't like a crying baby. It was like the complaints of, you're bringing a baby to the building. And then I started to say, well, you're bringing dogs to the offices. you know Hello. If you're bringing your dog, I can bring my kid. Okay. And I don't have a choice. You have a choice. I don't have a choice. So I can't take my kid to the daycare. And so I think that started to really bother me to try and want to do something. And so that's why I decided to join the postdoc society. In fact, so after that, then I like wrote, and I wrote to the chairperson at the time, and I'm like, I'd like to be part of the postdoc exec. And they're like, yeah, of course. So then, I explained my story and, my reason, why I actually want to join here. I want to see why is this allowed, because it's not fair. And, like, nobody should bar me from having a kid if I want to. But I should be able to also have the dignity that everyone has, because I just felt so violated about the whole situation. And even when the people were complaining, so then when we were talking, I explained, and then it turned out there were so many instances like that. So then we started to talk about, like, what can we do? We didn't really get a place to discuss with anyone. We had those little forums, but they didn't help. We had monthly meetings. Yeah, those were really helpful because everyone could get there and voice their opinion and thoughts. And then basically the whole policy situation started to evolve from that. Maternity benefits, having salary, what is the minimum salary. All of those things emerge from having these meetings and having these conversations and putting things together, until we finally got to sit in a meeting with Prof. Tute. That was in 2015, at the beginning of 2015. And then we started to work on the policy. So we were like, yeah, okay, we'll have the monthly meetings and we will start working on the policy. And it was back and forth, and the society and us and Prof. Tute and the research office and until we really got a nice policy down. And then it was taken up to the research committee, the Senate Research Committee, who approved it. And then it was presented for the council, and then it was approved by council. And now we have our policy, which didn't exist before. So in there, a lot of things are taken care of. Of course, now it needs to evolve again. It's been 5 years, so it needs to evolve again to be responsive to things that are happening right now. So yeah, so half of my postdoc was doing a lot of advocacy and shouting and stuff, but also doing a lot of research and being all over. I really enjoy my postdoc. I travel a lot. I did postdocs for 5 years. I did all the maximum required time, and spent a good amount of that time overseas, in other African countries, in the US, in Asia, some parts of Europe. Yeah, and I really learned a lot during all of that time.
What do you think that the postdocs at Stellenbosch University, is there a certain direction that you know that they take? Are there do they stand at academic positions in 5 years, or do you think that they will, in 5 years time, that they will, more of them will go into the business and the company world? How do you see most of the postdocs spreading out?
Yeah, I mean, I have my own thoughts about the whole postdoc experience and what it is currently and what I would like it to be. Um, I think at the moment the majority of the postdoc experience is like a glorified PhD, really. You come, you have a project, you work on the project, you publish a paper, and then you leave. If you're lucky, you get a teaching experience, or you get an opportunity to sit on committees or to engage with your faculty, on more administrative roles, to understand how the whole academic system works. For me, I was very, very privileged. My former supervisor, who then became my postdoc host, was, she just left me to run wild with things, left me to run the lab, and to supervise students, to learn about the administration of programs, and to sit in staff meetings. And it gave me a different perspective of the academic environment, which was a little bit different from what I've seen other postdocs have to do. And my idea is that a postdoc is actually a career building time in your life. During your PhD, you might not so much get the time to do that, but this is like career and skills building. Like when you start to hone in on various skills, and they actually need to be reflected in your CV. Those skills, you need to learn even things like project management or program management. And I was encouraged by others again, because it was like, what do you think? The turnover in academia is like so low, and then the industry doesn't actually know what to do with people with a PhD. Like they don't know what skills you have that they can use. And as a postdoc, I feel this is the time where you're supposed to look around and see, am I really meant to be in an academic environment? Can I go work at a research institution? Can I be a researcher in an industry organization? What do I need? You have the research skills. You know how to find information. You know how to identify gaps. You can create knowledge out of anything. You are the best in your data analysis. You're the best in designing research methods. What? All these skills. They are already there. But then there are other things that the industry partners look for. Do you have project management skills? Do you have negotiation skills? Do you have whatever other skills? Technical stuff that they understand, but you have other things that add more value to an organization than just knowing project management. You think different. You know how to find information and communicate it different. And I'm not talking because it comes from my own thoughts of what I'm saying. I'm talking because of experience with people who were encouraging me to not have one template for a career, to not only identify myself as the end girl, and I am the end expert. and it ends there. It doesn't end there, because what are the likelihoods that I'm going to get a job in an academic environment? I can be like all like, star, whatever, but I might not fit, or the position is just not available. And as much as they would like to keep you, they cannot, because the opportunities are not available. So you need to think about what you're going to do after this. One thing that I've been trying to do here in terms of capacity development is to try and get a lot of industry exposure for postdocs, just to see what industry partners are looking for in your field, and you identify those that you have and those that you need to improve on. And last year I introduced a program. I called it Academia Innovation, and in this program we kind of invited people from various sectors in science who started their own businesses. Startup culture is not something that we tend to have here. It's not very encouraged, especially in academic environments. It's not very encouraged. Um, and if you want to do a startup, what is it that you need? What can you start with? Something simple like being the stats guru in your biological field. That's a skill you can sell, that you actually make business out of. And those are the things that we discussed in this some of these workshops last year. And obviously we had to stop later in the year because we were just doing a pilot. We were actually going to do a proper one this year, but COVID happened. so yeah, basically what I'm saying is people should think about other skills that will make them be easily able to move between fields and between careers. And I think it's a responsibility of the universities to provide these kind of resources. The hosts need to know that, when I get a postdoc, I want them to do this. When they live here, they need to be so equipped. When they leave, they will be sad and they will miss me. They will always remember me as that person. You will be, they will be your Brent, like my Brent. It made me feel so passionate about, he trusted me with his like work. He couldn't go back to Marion Allen to get those caterpillars. If I killed them, that was it. That his postdoc was like down the drain. I needed to have a buy-in into the Olivias and the Lilies and the Bruces. I need to care for them in the same love that he had. And so, and that's a lot of trust, and it equipped me. And even now, my students always felt like I'm. They would be even scared to say, "Oh, but you trust me too much. Oh, I can't. You can do it. This is your job. This is your project. You own it. You do it. I'm here to support you." That's all.
So you see, it's basically like an interaction between the postdoc and the host. The postdoc needs to know what he or she will be able to gain from the postdoc, besides doing the research that they intend to do and that they're hired to do, but also to learn other skills in order to broaden their skill set. And to enlarge their capacity on the market wherever they may go. It has just been very good to get your thoughts of to hear about your academic career, Natasha, and about the inspiration that you felt along the way and that you are now to others. And thank you so much for everything that you do for the postdocs at Stellenbosch University. So I really want to thank you, and I really hope that this first podcast will be a success, and may there be many more. And let the lockdown not bother us, and be as human as we can be. And that means that we don't have to be productive all the time, but that means that that at least we are human, and that we're loving for the work that we do and the people around us.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I really had a good time. I think it is really good to share some of the experiences, and also to give people kind of a better understanding of what we do at the office. and the type of help that we want to, and the type of postdocs that we want to have at Stellenbosch, the ones that we want to build and skill and allow them to thrive in their careers wherever they end up. This environment is supposed to provide those resources and opportunities, so that you live with more. You gain more, because you leave us with more. Your paper is much more for the university. Your engagement, your interaction with students, with this environment leaves much more. And so for the same, you should gain as well, in the time of being a postdoc here. Yeah.